This is Gigi Sabat, and you're listening to the Walk With Me podcast. My guest today is Dara Sweatt. Welcome to the Walk With Me podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here. My dog Bella is also apparently a guest today as well.
I see we have two guests. Welcome, Bella. And so why don't you start off by telling us a little bit more about you and where are you from?
Sure. So my name is Dara. I currently live in Jacksonville, Florida. I was actually born in Fort Lauderdale and then grew up in Ormond Beach, Palm Coast, kind of Northeast Florida area. So true Floridian, born and raised, went to FAU for my AA and transferred to UF, University of Florida. So a just alligator blood through and through. I work in marketing. I actually went to school to be a TV journalist, and just one thing led to another. And I stumbled into the marketing world where I kind of work with strategy and how you should be promoting your brand and kind of on the business development and sales side of things as well. And then I also coach CrossFit on the side. It is a passion of mine that I got into about 4 years ago. And then within the last 2 years, decided to internship at my gym and coach, and just really love to help other people and pursue the sport for myself as well.
I love it. Now, tell us a little bit more about your podcast, Beyond Broke and Hungry.
Yeah. So I actually started this podcast my idea was birthed before 2020. So in like 2019. And then the timing of everything with 2020 coming, hitting kind of the world and everything. It was just kind of almost perfect timing because people were wanting to learn a little bit more about health. And the conversations about health and balance and wellness were really just getting promoted more. Like people were talking about it more. And I went to school to, like I said, to be a broadcast journalist, fell into the radio world for a little bit. So really loved working in radio and recording, being live on the air and things like that. And so I started to do my own podcast. Back in college, it was like a music podcast, but I wanted to really try to do something that was more health oriented. I've had some struggles with my health and wellness growing up. I was an athlete my whole life, but had some problems with eating disorders and just like mental capacity of it. And still working through some of those things, but I had reached so many milestones in my own personal journey that I really wanted to start something that I could help other people achieve that balance of being a person who lived a very fast-paced life, but still put their health and wellness as a priority over over everything else in their life, and kind of showcasing to people that having a balanced lifestyle really isn't that hard and it's not out of reach. So I just really wanted to start something to help people. And it actually started as a Finsta, like a fake Instagram. I started just posting jokes about working out and being like, oh my gosh, this is awful. Like I just ran 4 miles and it's so hard. Or, oh my gosh, I have to go to the gym. Or, oh my gosh, I'm making this like stupid smoothie, or making jokes about it. And I had some girlfriends reach out to me and they were like, I know that you're kind of joking and you're being humorous about your wellness journey, but it's actually really motivating me to want to start eating healthier and go to the gym and so on and so on. So it started that way and then just ended up birthing into being a podcast. I had a co-host for a while and then her and I went different ways. And then I just wanted to continue it on so that I can continue to share advice in a humorous way or, anything like that with people who might be struggling with their wellness journey. So that's how that came out to be.
Very inspiring. Now let's circle back for a moment because you mentioned having an eating disorder. When did you realize that you had an eating disorder?
Honestly, it wasn't until I was probably out of college. And I don't know if it was that I didn't realize it until after college, or I just wasn't willing to admit that I had one until after college. It was, not diagnosed or anything like that. I never talked to my therapist about it. I never even really said it out loud until I was really looking back at my habits with my health and wellness. And I struggled with binging and purging. So I would eat and then I would make myself sick, or I wouldn't eat and I would make myself sick because I would feel like I had to just get whatever was in me out of me so that I could lose weight or that I could be skinny, and things of that nature. And, it was off and on throughout high school, into college. And then even as an adult after college as well. until I finally had like a come to Jesus moment about it, where I was like, this is not good for me. I need to stop doing this, and I need help to get into a better mindset, because it really wasn't about so much like what you eat is important, but it really wasn't about the fact that I was eating the food. It was what my relationship with the food and with the process really was. So it took some time to really get through that and heal through it. And I can confidently say that I want to say it's been like 3.5 years, that there hasn't been any issues at all. And my relationship with food is just incredible. And like just a total 180.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
quite the journey. Now, what message do you have for folks who are experiencing an eating disorder as well?
I would just say, just don't be afraid to ask for help. It's not an uncommon thing. I think that people are getting more vocal about it now, so it's a little bit, I guess, easier. I don't like using that word, but I guess the fall is a little bit softer because people are talking about it a little bit more. And you might have an eating disorder and not really know that you have one, because it doesn't have to necessarily be that you're starving yourself or that you're, binging everything you eat. It could just be the relationship that you have with food, and being able to talk to a nutrition coach, or a dietitian or somebody that can really help you heal that relationship and show you that you can love yourself and that you can eat food and you can nourish your body in healthy ways, and also have your donuts if you want your donuts, or have your pizza if you want your pizza. But I think just not being afraid that if you tell somebody about it, that you're going to be judged or that there's something wrong with you. Like, there is definitely a way that you can heal from it and that you can get out of it, and all you have to do is ask for help.
Very true. Ask for help, and there is a way to heal from it. Very powerful. Now, when you and I spoke, you said that the word of the year for you is relentless. Tell us why.
So I think that I'm just a relentless person in general. I think that I always, when I want to go for something, I go for it, and I don't really let a lot of things stand in my way. Or if things do stand in my way, I figure out how to navigate those things. And I feel like it could be my word of my life, honestly. But I was reading the book by Tim Grover in the beginning of this year, and just so much that he talked about in that book, was just so applicable to my life, and to whether it's my personal life, my fitness life, my career, that mindset of not letting anything stand in the way, being relentless towards yourself, being relentless towards your excuses. Like, no, I'm not going to skip my workout today, or I'm not going to, not meal prep my food and set myself up for success. Like, just knowing that you are in control of your life and how it's navigated was just really powerful to me. So I was like, you know what, this is my word of the year, is being relentless. And when it comes to my fitness, I've made milestones, just in the 7 months that we've been in this year. And then also with my career as well, building the team, and growing and bringing new clients on, and just being relentless in the way that I attack that, and how I network, and how I set myself up for success has just been really powerful. So that's why I kind of made that my word of the year.
I love it. Now, tell us a little bit more about the major challenge that you had to overcome in your life.
I honestly think that the major challenge for me has really circulated around my health and wellness. Um, Growing up, my mom was really skinny her whole life, and I was born in the 90s, and so the whole thing was like fat free and being skinny. And we grew up in we're the same age and grew up in the same grade and everything. So it was like having those skinny legs and being just scrawny was like and I was not that. I was not a scrawny girl. I was always bigger built. I played soccer, so I was always on the defense. I was always the one that was knocking people down. I was always bigger than everybody on the field. I was always the tallest girl in my class, up until about middle school. And girls can be mean growing up in elementary school and everything. And I think just realizing that the number on the scale does not define who I am, um, was a big challenge for me. And I didn't really get over that until honestly after college and kind of being an adult and growing up and everything. Just kind of overcoming that because it was such a big part of my life for such a long time. You know, my mom had me on the South Beach diet when I was 9 years old. So, you know, my whole life I was basically told that I wasn't good enough because I wasn't thin enough. And it really took a lot of relentlessness and resilience to kind of push through that mindset and understand that like I am awesome for who I am. None of that other stuff matters. But also knowing that you need to pursue a nutritious lifestyle where you're nourishing your body and you're having balance in your body is super, super important. So being able to get through that, hey, you know, being whatever you weigh doesn't define who you are, but how can I nourish my body to be healthy so that I can, you know, get up in the morning and go work out or get up in the morning and go tackle my day. So I would honestly say like just kind of getting over that mindset that like me not being thin enough made me not good enough was a big, big challenge. And my life has been exponentially better over the last 4 years that I've really gotten out of that mindset and I've just been living healthy and balanced.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, what role did your faith have in you getting through those challenges?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I remember when I was a little kid and I didn't feel like I really had anybody to talk to. And I didn't feel like I had somebody that really understood what I was going through. And I would just sit in my room. You know, I grew up in private school my whole life. So God was always a very present figure, and my family was Catholic. So I always knew like what God was or, you know, everything like that. And I just would sit there and pray and really felt that I had this like overwhelming presence wrapping his arms around me, just being like, I love you, you're beautiful, you know, and kind of giving me that peace that there's something around me that loves me more than maybe what the world is showcasing to me right now. And as I got older, just that relationship that I felt that I had as a kid just got stronger and stronger and stronger. And I just learned, you know, through going to different youth groups and talking with different pastors and meeting with other people that had strong faiths too, of like how to really bank on that and to lean into it. And that was just kind of how it all worked out. You know, I mean, you know, you if you're having a relationship with somebody, it's a two-way street. So you've got to work towards that relationship to make that relationship grow and flourish. And the times that I felt disconnected or lost were the times that I wasn't pursuing God the way that I should have been. So, and I started to realize that as I got older. So it's just, you know, spending the time with God and you know, dedicating my gratitude to yes, the gratitude of the universe and putting good vibes out there and everything, but really dedicating that gratitude to the Lord because there's so many things in my life that I feel that I wouldn't have had if it wasn't for him or if it wasn't for my faith. So just really like leaning into that relationship that I would have with God and really talking to God and not, you know, not just him just being this big guy in the sky, you know, like actually having a relationship with him is something that I really put first and foremost.
That's right. Building a relationship with him truly matters. Now, what message do you have for folks who are looking to build a relationship with him? Where can they start?
You know, I really enjoy the First Five app. I think it's a part. They have a partnership with Proverbs31.org, and they do like a daily devotional. Proverbs 31 has a daily devotional that is kind of different every single day, but the First Five app has, and I'm not sponsored by them in any way. I just this is what I do every single day. They have like actual Bible studies that you'll go through. So, for example, right now I'm reading the book of Job. So I've been reading a chapter of Job every single day. And then it dissects things a little bit further for you, referencing other Bible verses and things like that. You know, so obviously community is super big and super important with that. But, you know, people aren't disappointed by God, people are disappointed by people. So sometimes it's hard to find that church, it's hard to find that community. But I think if you really start to dive into the word and what this, the stories and the messages that God has for us, it really helps you understand that a little bit more. So then when you do find a church or you do find a group of people, you already understand like what God wants for you, and you are able to hear that a little bit more when you're around people. So I would just really say, to dedicate 15 minutes a day. I mean, God gives you every second of your life. You could give him 15 minutes, and just dive into a Bible study and start to really educate yourself on the word so that you can grow in your faith and your relationship with God.
Amen. Now, you mentioned you've been reading the chapter of Job. What has been the biggest lesson or biggest takeaway that you've learned?
Oh my gosh, that sometimes your circumstances has nothing to do with what you do right or wrong. Sometimes it's just something that you have to go through so that God can show you that at the end of all of the struggle or the end of whatever you're going through, that he was always there for you in every step of the way. It's such, the story of Job is, Job gets everything taken away from him. And, basically God almost gives not allows, but God gives the devil the opportunity to kind of take things away from Job. And God is like, well, this is my faithful servant. Like, no matter what you do, he's going to lean towards me. He's going to turn to me, whatever circumstance he's in. He loves me and he is my faithful servant. So go ahead and do it. And, so all of the stuff that's happening is kind of like this, whenever I'm in the midst of something tragic or, whoa, woe is me, like, why is nothing going my way? And not all the time is it Satan that's taking over and, God stepping to the side. That's not always the case, but it's one of those things where, like, whatever I am going through, I know that God is with me and that God is going to help me through it. And although whatever I'm going through sucks or it's hard or I'm crying or whatever, I know that if I lean onto him and if I keep talking to him, I keep praying to him, I will eventually get through it and I will be better for it in the end.
Amen. God is with you wherever you go. One of my
100%.
favorite verses is Joshua 1:9. He's with you wherever you go. Now, what message do you have for the audience? What last words do you have?
Don't be afraid to be yourself and to be kind and to just love people. We live in a world where there's so much negativity and there's so much hate and there's so much darkness. So just be a light and be yourself and be loving towards others. That's really the only thing I think I can say.
I love it. As you can see, I'm smiling from ear to ear here. And now, what is your best advice to the audience for walking with purpose and living a life of happiness?
I think it just goes back to faith. My purpose in life is whatever the Lord has planned for me. You have to do things like, I feel like God gives us gifts and gives us opportunity, and we have to show up for that. But at the end of the day, like, there's nothing that I can do in my life that God hasn't already curated or that God doesn't already know is going to happen. So I think just really leaning into your faith and working towards whatever it is that you feel that God is calling you to do. I think that when you're walking in that faith, you're walking with the purpose that God has planned for you. And then doesn't make things easy. It doesn't mean that things are going to just come like this or anything like that. But it does mean that you have someone powerful on your side that is going to help you accomplish whatever it is that he has your purpose for.
Very true. Thank you for being a guest on the Walk With Me podcast. Now, where can the audience find you?
I am on all platforms as Dara Sweatt, just DARASWEATT. My podcast is Beyond Broken Hungry. I do have a website for that as well. It's just beyondbrokenhungry.com, where I will share some tips and tricks on keeping life balance. Also some fun recipes as well, that people are always like, what are you eating? What are you doing? And I just kind of post things on there. But yeah, Dara Sweatt on all platforms is the best way to follow me. And I'll always share stuff from my podcast. So you can easily find my podcast that way as well.
Thank you, Dara. And ladies and gentlemen, make sure to check out Dara on all of her social media platforms, including her website. That's beyondbrokenhungry.com. And I do apologize about my voice today. I can hear it. I do have a cold. I do apologize. And thank you again for being a guest on the Walk With Me podcast, Dara.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor.
God bless.